Good afternoon, everybody. This is Cesar Delgado from Back Roads of Illinois podcast on YouTube with John Newton from Washington, D.C. We are talking about U.S. economy and reflect on the inflation today. I'm sorry about yesterday. I had an interview with Joe Camp. I'm sorry about yesterday. I had an interview with Joe Camp, but he didn't respond sooner. But I will check with him. I will have an interview with a chapter in Newark, Illinois for later this afternoon. Okay, the election day on Tuesday, but unfortunately, it is pretty division of the country. I have my opinion, but I won't say it on my podcast.
This is John. I'm here.
I'm using a computer to help me communicate, John.
Sounds great. Nice to meet you as well. He's typing. Can you read what he says as he's typing? Can you?
Good afternoon. Nice to meet you. You're welcome to my podcast.
I can hear now. Glad to be here.
How are you today? in Washington, D.C.?
Doing fantastic. We're actually on our way to the shore in New Jersey today.
I'm in the newsletter of American Soybeans Association on Monday.
That's excellent news. Congratulations.
I'm ready. Getting down to business.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to the interview.
Just tell me about your experience with. Just tell me about your experience and knowledge of it.
Just tell me about your experience and knowledge about the agricultural.
Oh, that's a great question. I've been working in the ag industry now for close to 20 years. I've spent 10 years working at the Department of Agriculture. I did detail with Chairwoman Stabenow on the Senate Ag Committee. During that time, I worked for the Office of the Chief Economist. I was a professor at the University of Illinois. I was the Chief Economist at the Farm Bureau for a number of years, and now I've been with the Senate Ag Committee as the Chief Economist for Ranking Member Bozeman for about a year and a half. Really thrilled to be in the job that I have.
Go Illinois.
Well, I did my PhD at The Ohio State University, so I have to say go Buckeyes.
How about just thought about the inflation today?
Well, that's a fantastic question. You know, if we look at inflation across the U.S. economy, the most recent CPI report showed overall inflation, the headline number at 8.2%. Core inflation, which takes out food and energy, came in at 6.2% and actually increased from the previous month. And the challenge with inflation is, you know, half the country is under the age of 40, and inflation today is at 40-year highs. So this is the highest inflation that many Americans have ever seen in their life. Food inflation, which we all feel when we go to the grocery store, was up 13%. And that's, again, the highest that we've seen in 40 years.
Do you think that we are going to be Simon?
Could you repeat the question?
In a recession.
Do you think
Do I
that
think
we
that
are
we're
going
going
to
to
be a
be in a
recession?
recession?
I mean,
That's so, we did see two consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth, but the latest GDP report that we saw this past week showed positive growth in the U.S. economy, mainly driven by a reduction in imports. But with interest rates rising as rapidly as they are, the Fed is working very hard to try to calm inflation. The Fed target on inflation is 2%. There's simply, too strong demand and too few goods across the economy. So in order to address inflation, the Federal Reserve is working very hard to slow demand, and that means some of the pain that we're feeling across the economy, some of the recessionary pressure, is likely going to continue for the foreseeable future. I believe the Bank of England today forecasted that their economy is going to be in recession through 2024. So the inflationary concerns that we're feeling here at home are being felt around the world, and Federal Reserve banks around the world are very, very aggressive. Central banks are very aggressive in trying to tackle inflation in their economies.
what is affected by this recession in the agricultural and with the grain market is high?
So the impact in agriculture is fairly broad, and I'll touch on just a few examples. Recessionary, concerns impact the demand for clothing items, for example, and a lot of our clothing is manufactured in China. A lot of it's using U.S. Produced cotton, and demand for cotton has fallen over these recessionary concerns. Cotton prices were well over $1 a pound several months ago, and today are approaching 70 cents per pound. That's the impact of the recession on the cotton industry, for example. There are certainly concerns about, the real estate market in agriculture. Ag real estate values have increased by 20% in recent years, 20% or more, with a low interest rate environment. As the interest rate goes up, you cash rents and farm real estate values. That's a very delicate balance. So that's something that you obviously want to monitor. And then I think overall inflation in the farm economy, production expenses increased by a record amount this past year. Production expenses are likely going to continue to remain high. And the recession, if we enter a recession, could slow demand for U.S. agricultural products, could reduce prices. And that leaves producers in a pretty tough situation when they've spent a lot of money to raise a crop or care for livestock, and the value's just not there anymore.
How about livestock market? The meat is pretty expensive.
You're exactly right. I think if we look at the cattle market in particular, fed cattle prices are the highest that they've been in 7 years. Feeder cattle prices, the highest they've been in a number of years. Demand for beef has been very strong throughout the pandemic. But for those livestock producers, the cost of feeding animals has gone up considerably. The cost of borrowing, capital costs have gone up considerably. Diesel fuel prices have gone up considerably. So even though the prices for cattle, hogs, or milk have gone up, poultry, the profits may not go up because their input costs have gone up by equal or greater amount.
Yeah, I agree. I watched you on RDF TV and Mac Marshall.
Yes, I know Mac Marshall with the Soybean Association. He's a great economist, formerly of Monsanto, I believe, and we continue to work closely together. We worked closely together when I was chief economist at the Farm Bureau. And the Soybean Association has another brilliant economist by the name of Scott Garrett. So the two of them are of great service to the soybean industry.
No.
I interviewed with him on last Friday.
That's great. What did Mac have to tell you? Soybean markets have been, the beneficiary of higher prices recently. We did see the harvest price for soybeans came in a little lower than what the spring price was, but they've got tremendous demand, not only for soybeans exported into China, but also, the renewable biofuels and soy-based biodiesel. It's just a tremendous opportunity for the industry to capitalize on.
Did you grow up in the Furman Midwest?
No, not in the Midwest. I grew up in Kentucky. My family was from right outside Fort Knox, but I grew up in Louisville and went to the University of Louisville and started working for agriculture really soon after, quite frankly, immediately after college. And I've been in service to agriculture now for close to 2 decades.
Wow. You're welcome to my podcast anytime. You can post your podcast on your social media. I don't know if you're allowing it because you're a government agency.
I'll be happy to post this on social media. I'll post it on my Twitter account. So whenever you complete the podcast, send a link to me and I'll be happy to post it and let others know where they can listen in and hear the interviews you're doing, with Mac Marshall. I understand you interviewed my former colleague at AFBF, Andrew Wamsley. I'm sure folks want to hear what they have to say and are very interested in listening to your podcast.
Sounds good, John. Thanks for coming.
Anytime, Caesar. I appreciate the invitation, and let me know if there's anything that we can do to be helpful. And if you come to Washington D.C., please reach out. Be happy to show you the ag hearing room. I think Caesar's concluded the interview, but I'm going to wait a second. I don't know if he's said anything in the chat.
Yeah. One thing, could you explain what happened with China?
I'm guessing you want to talk about the phase one agreement. If that's the case, I think
Yes, sir.
Several years ago, the administration initiated a 301 investigation with China, looking into many of their industries, their electronics, their solar panel industry, their aluminum industry, and as a result of that, the United States government and China concluded a multi-year engagement that resulted in the phase one economic agreement between the U.S. and China. And for agriculture, folks were really interested in that because of China's role in our export market. They're the largest importer of U.S. agricultural products, and prior to the trade disagreement, they purchased somewhere in the neighborhood of 20% of U.S. agricultural products. After the phase one agreement, China was agreed to buy some $80 billion worth of agricultural products. I believe they ended up buying somewhere in the neighborhood of 65 to $70 billion worth of agricultural products. So while they were short of the phase one goal, the purchases by the Chinese government, especially in the corn market, for example, they bought a lot of United States corn. That helped to increase prices and led to the high farm income environment that we found ourselves in recent years. Net farm income in 2022 comes in at 148 billion. That's down 1% in inflation adjusted terms, but still, points to a fairly strong farm economy at present. And again, a lot of that's due to the strong demand from China, combined with the strong rebound in demand after the pandemic.
Yes, it is pretty confused.
I think, moving forward, we know that China is a big market for U.S. agricultural products. I think, many farmers want to see more trade opportunities, more trading partners, free and fairer trade, reduce trade barriers, reduce non-tariff barriers to trade, so that we can increase market opportunities around the world. U.S. producers are extremely efficient. We're the best at what we do. We just need the opportunity to showcase that to consumers around the world.
Right. We'll talk to you later. Have a great weekend. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much, Caesar. Anytime. This is John Newton.
This is John Newton from Washington, D.C. This is Cesar Delgado from Back Roads of Illinois podcast on YouTube. See you later. Have a good weekend, everyone.